Welcome back to another episode with BC Procast. Today we are doing an interview with the one and only Larry Sorensen. Sorensen. Sorry, this is
SW.
This is my Uncle Larry, and we're having an interview with him today because we think he's a pretty interesting guy. He's done a lot, and he actually is working on his own project right now, which we'd like to dive into. Welcome to the pod. How are you doing? How has your day been so far?
Doing wonderful. Just got done with church. I got my Life Point Vision shirt on, so doing fantastic.
Love that.
That's great.
And type in the comments, how old do you think Larry is?
Don't.
24.
Yeah.
I think Braedon is.
I think that's a great segue. Talking about his looks. This man, as you can see, he is pretty fit. He's very, very fit.
Too fit.
And one thing we're going to be talking about heavily is about, his passion for health and fitness. As he's lived his life, as he's gone up in age, he's made it a priority. He's made it a priority to focus on his health and his fitness. So I guess you have a question for that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Well, I do,
it.
but I was gonna have him introduce himself.
Oh yeah.
How much do you want to know? Larry Sorensen. Do you want me to say my age?
Excuse me, it's Sorensen.
Yeah,
Sorensen.
It's a W. I forgot that. And it's a son too, S-O-N.
If you want to introduce yourself in any way, like anything you want to share, you can feel free to share. If not, we can just start.
Well, you know my name. I am his uncle, soon-to-be uncle.
You're going to be an uncle soon?
I'm going to be an uncle soon, dude.
Not sure what the date is there. You guys are going to talk about that one day, aren't you?
On this podcast?
Your wedding plans? Or
on this podcast, he's going to propose.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about hey,
hopefully
come
she's not watching.
Didn't mean to jump ahead. Okay.
Great. Now the spoilers.
Just go ahead with your stuff. I don't have anything to introduce myself with.
So you grew up in where? Where did you grow up?
Oh, you want all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I grew up about 30 miles from here. West Allis, Wisconsin.
Ooh, that's a rough place.
I can't say what year because, didn't say how old I am yet, but...
What year were you born?
Maybe you'll have to do some math. 1966.
Gosh, dude, was telephone? No, I'm just kidding. I won't make those jokes.
We did have a TV in the house, so yeah.
Really?
TV was around.
How old were you when you had your first TV?
When I was young, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We had a TV, yeah.
What did it look like?
The old console, the old mid-century modern console.
I'm actually curious.
Where you have, the wood framing all around. And it was a beastly thing, like the size of the couch there, Now, the TV screen was only, probably 16 inches or something like that. But the whole TV was huge, because it had the big speakers on the side and all that stuff.
Did it make that noise where you go, and when you turned it on?
Well, when you turn it on, yeah, it'd have a little fuss. And we only had, 3 network channels and then the UHS channel. So we only had 4 channels, and you actually obviously didn't have remote controls and all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
So you had to choose your station wisely.
Okay.
You really had to know what you wanted to watch, because otherwise you had to get up off the couch, go back over, and turn the TV to a different channel.
Oh my gosh,
was a lot.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
Did you have the antennas?
We did, actually, yeah. Yeah, the little box antennas.
Okay. I don't understand the antennas. Does it okay, just be with me. Is it like it will go...
We've transitioned from introduction to tech session here.
No more interviewing.
So when you move your antenna, does it find a better wavelength?
Yeah, it's just the angle. All it is just metal that creates more surface for the frequencies to get grabbed. That's all. So when you move it around and angle it different ways, it can catch the frequencies better. That's all.
See? Now they learned something. Now let's get back to the interview. So you grew up...
Now when cable came, we had an antenna on the roof that had a power motor. So back then when your cable, because you were still getting the cable over the airwaves, you would have to turn a dial and it would turn the antenna up on the roof of your house and angle it to a point where it would catch the signal better.
Does that need to change every time? Or
not always, but just on occasion, if your TV was not coming in clear, you'd dial the button and try to mess with it,
Dude.
But yeah.
That's
we
crazy.
could go
More
on
you
and on
know.
for that.
That
kind of
is
No,
stuff.
crazy.
we're done there.
That
We're
is
done with
crazy.
that. Thank you for letting us know, though.
I'm fascinated. So tell me, cable versus no, I'm just kidding. So you grew up, you had a TV with antennas, and
Yeah, so I grew up in West Allis, Wisconsin.
What
Lived
was
there
the-
for 51 years. Moved to Minneapolis for 5 years. Then retired from work, even though you don't know my age and I'm really young. And then came back here so that I could be around all you folks.
Yeah,
Which we're blessed to have you.
honestly,
Thank you.
I remember the
Thank
first
you.
time meeting you. I actually was it in Minnesota when I first met Larry.
I'm not sure. I don't
Maybe
know.
officially, I don't know.
Yeah,
When you came up to help move.
yeah, I
Some
remember.
stuff, or-
Yeah, I remember like the first time meeting you. I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't get up at like 7 a.m., I know he's gonna like.
Was that when I had the
Flow
bike
trumpet.
crash? No, you met me way before then.
Did I?
Yeah. Yeah. You had to.
Yeah.
Definitely
old
at,
and
like,
who's not?
random
Senility- Wow, senility setting in really early.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely ran into him at family events. I love
Yeah.
this
We
topic.
ran into him.
I love this topic, but we brought him on here for a purpose. 'Cause I
Yes.
think he has a lot to talk about with health and
The
fitness.
antennas.
So, do you have a question to get us started with that?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm 21 and you're 24, but let's
And a half.
and I have 24 and a half. What is like, I have a hard time with like understanding why you work out the way you do. Like you are like devoted at your age of 24.
Here, let me jump in.
Well, I can answer that.
Okay.
I can answer that.
I just wanted to
because-
give some backstory because we're jumping into a question that, like, why has he made it like a passion of his throughout his life? But I wanted to kind of talk about the things you've done over like one of your.
Well, we can talk more about, but just
Okay.
in general to answer that question. And this is something that I would tell anybody that is struggling to kind of get going in a fitness program, or they just haven't lived a fitness lifestyle, and it's like, well, I can't take this anymore. Whether I'm overweight or I just don't feel good or what have you. It's always the same question: how do you keep doing it? How do you stay motivated? What you do? So the easiest thing, now I've always been competitive. I grew up in a competitive household. So I've been competing with my brother and my dad and my uncles and everything since the day I was born. I had a golf club in my hand when I was 4 years old. No, I'm not Tiger Woods, but we just played stuff. And so that got me through originally being active and fit when I was young, because you just played a sport year round, different sports all the time. But then as you start to get a little older, you get out of high school or college where you've had the organized stuff. And now it's like, what am I going to do? I have to do something on my own. Well, it's always been find something to compete in. I competed in track and field years after college. I competed. Then as I got slower, I went into road racing. Started out with 5Ks and all that stuff. And then I thought, well, geez, maybe I'll try to do a marathon. And then I did the marathon. And then I kind of accomplished some of the goals I wanted to do there.
Wow.
And in the meantime, of course, I was playing volleyball. I've played beach volleyball my whole life and indoor volleyball. So it's always trying to find something to be competitive at, to train for. So then as I got older, at, what was I don't know, probably mid-40s, is where I kind of stumbled on table tennis. Never thought much about it being a sport or being anything active, really active or anything. And so I kind of stumbled into it, and that's a story in itself. But then it was like, okay, if I'm going to do it, my personality is, if I'm going to try this, I want to be the best around. I want to be the best of my friends first, best of the community, best, and try to work up as far as I can. And so that always kept me going. And now just, again, and we've played, what's the latest thing that I kind of picked up? Pickleball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody else. Well, we went out and played the first couple times, and I'm like, okay, this is nothing like table tennis, and I was terrible. But then it's like, well, all right, I'm going to beat, Dave Holtz. Shout out Dave Holtz, right? Because he was the pickleball guy in our little church group. And then it's like, okay, I'm doing better with him. I'm going to move on. And then, maybe I'm going to play some tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So to answer the question for me, and I think for anybody, is set a goal that you can train for. and then just enjoy the training process every day and look for those improvements. And then you do whatever that goal, that activity, and that could be walking around the block without stopping. It could be getting up and walking up the stairs and down, who knows? Or it could be running a 5K or something.
Wow.
But you do that, and then what you find is, you hit that goal. Hopefully you achieved whatever that goal was. And then maybe you set one that's, I'm going to go around the block twice, or I want to better my time, or whatever that is, or lift more weight or something. Or just stick to my diet, for that matter. And you keep doing that, and all of a sudden, you get better and better at whatever it is. And then before you know it, it's just a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not just a fitness program. It's not just a diet. It's just, this is how I live. I eat well. I train every day. That's a priority because I feel good. And now I feel better than I ever did before. I want to keep that going. So,
Wow.
Believe it or not, that's the short answer to that. But I think that's probably the easiest way to stay motivated, is to set some kind of goals and then just outline a process to get there, and then just focus on the process of it. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to have fun sweating today, or whatever that is. Or I'm going to enjoy, I made these vegetables. I skipped the fries, and I made this stir fry of vegetables, and it is really delicious. And I am going to enjoy these like I used to enjoy a big vat of fries.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of snowballs. So I'll cut myself off there.
That's
you guys
crazy.
I'll talk forever. If
Yeah,
you give me
no,
a
no,
topic.
That was
great.
insane.
No, it's cool to see how you broke down a simple a concept of how to live a life very simply. You set a goal and you work towards it. You almost sound like you'd be a great coach.
Is that question number 2?
I guess where I'm going with that.
Do we
Have
have
you
a
ever been a
question?
coach before?
I
or?
have, yes.
You want to tell us about that and what sports or what you've been involved in? Because I know you are at the gym, and you definitely like to take people under your wing and talk to them about the best way to do things. And then you also have a great motto philosophy about 3 or 4 rules for training any athlete, right? Do you want to kind of elaborate on any of those thoughts?
Got a couple hours
Let's
here.
go
but,
for it.
Well, I would say I started coaching actually right out of high school, assisting like my old high school coach. And it kind of got me interested, and I thought, this is kind of cool. Now, this is my first experience. Now, again, you got to remember, as a young athlete, I was the man, right? In my mind, that's just the attitude, old school attitude. I don't care if I stepped on the court with Shaq. I'm taking care of business, right? That's the attitude.
Yeah.
Right?
You think you could take Shaq on one-on-one?
It might be close.
Are you
If
serious?
he bodied me a little, it might be harder. But I'm just kidding.
But you would beat him.
Let's stay on topic.
Okay.
When Shaq tunes in, he'll
He'll
we'll
reach
talk.
out. We'll talk about
We'll
that.
talk
He's
more
gonna call
later.
you out.
I don't want to make him feel bad.
I'm just
So-
imagining him versus Shaq.
That could be. Well, that's a different topic. We'll talk about that.
Coaching.
So, coaching, yeah. So got the opportunity to do that a little bit early on. And even though I was, in my own thing, still trying to be the best at a couple of different sports all at the same time stuff, it was pretty cool. I remember working with this one particular kid. He was real athletic in volleyball at my old high school. And he had a couple issues with some techniques, and we worked a little bit, and his technique, got ironed out. And all of a sudden, he was just went from, tripping over his own feet to really playing well. And you could just see in him the confidence change, the fun. It was just fun, but really it was the change in his whole demeanor of, boy, I can be good at something. If I listen and put a little work in, I can actually be good at something that I didn't even have a clue a couple of months ago how to do, To me, that's one of those things that sports in high school is about. That's a thing you learn, so that when you are an adult and you're at the workplace and you get a job opportunity and you say, I don't know how to do that, you reflect back and say, wait a minute, I know if I listen to people that have advice for me and I put some work in and so forth, I can accomplish that. Why can't I accomplish that? So, that's one of those things without getting off into a philosophical thing for young people in particular. That's what athletics is supposed to be about to me. So anyway, I got an early start with that. And when I saw that, I enjoyed coaching someone else. Now, when I was young, I was so involved with my own stuff, I didn't get as much opportunity to do that. When I got a little bit older, then, my first really big, long gig of official coaching then was at Marquette High School. A friend of mine, Eric Olson, and I started the program there. And I was the freshman JV coach at the time, and then he was there for a year or two, and then he left, and then I took over the program for the next, whatever it was, 12 years or something like that. And so I really got to do that all the time, and it was great. Probably we were successful. And I won't boast for myself. I'll boast for my kids. We a lot of state titles and just really lost a handful of games in 12 years. Literally,
Wow.
So that's cool, right?
Yeah.
I love all that. But two things that stick out from all those years that to me, besides all the individuals that was really great, was one of the years we won the state championship. We also won the state sportsmanship award for the team the same year, which is kind of one of those things that sometimes people are, when you win, you're cocky or you don't display the sportsmanship, and that's not something people think about. They're just looking at you and saying, "Oh, you're getting the wins,"
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool to me that the team got the sportsmanship award as well. And then probably the best thing, one of the best things anyway, that I got out of coaching there was when I had, and this happened several times, where I had a parent come to me and say, now Marquette's an all-boys school, if you don't know what Marquette is, so that can be intimidating, right? You walk in as a freshman and, there's whatever, I don't remember, 2,000 boys in a school, and it's noted for its athletics.
Yeah. Not
just volleyball. We did well, but the football coach is Hall of Famer for 40 years, and soccer team, every team, they dominate, So it's very intimidating. And I had several parents come in, and after, the first season, come to me and just say, we weren't sure about coming here. My son wasn't, he was a little intimidated about coming here, and he was shy and a little introverted. And by the end of that first, because we got him first, right? Freshman year, volleyballs, for those of you who don't know, boys volleyballs is, August through November. So the first thing they got to experience at Marquette High School was the volleyball program and the players and the coaches and stuff. And so, these parents came up and said, I can't believe the remarkable change in my son, the confidence and the outgoingness and the friends that he's made in such a short time. I couldn't have asked for anything more than for him to be involved with this group of people to start out his high school career. And it's just, he's a different boy, That's pretty cool when a parent, strange person comes to you that you've never met before, and within a month or two, they tell you that you not just me, but again, the team, the everything from the athletic director on down has had that kind of an impact on somebody. So again, that's one of those things that as a person coaching, as much as I love to compete myself, to see something like that in somebody else is just so cool. Mm-hmm. It really,
it's greater than the sport.
It is in many cases, because it's. When you're going through the grind yourself and you're trying to compete at a high level, sometimes you're just in the grind and it's hard. Some of my most successful sports, I'll be honest, I had the least fun. It was great to win and be successful and get some notoriety and those kinds of things, but it was such a grind. I never really enjoyed it. I always say, I go back to track and field. When I was young and I was a sprinter, I won a lot of stuff, and it was like, you're kind of famous, right, in your high school career and all that kind of stuff. And that was all great. But I never had fun, really, at all. When I got into road racing, we're like, okay, I'm gonna go up to a 5K. I was a sprinter, sprinter in middle distance. Now I'm gonna run a 5K. I don't stand a chance.
Past 100?
Yeah,
100 meters?
I'm not winning this. I'll be lucky to take 200th place. And so all of a sudden, it was just more about enjoying, going back to that process and just enjoying running instead of the competition part about it. So
and then real quick, what was your talking about how you got into that and started being you're passionate about it? What was your PR for a marathon?
A little under 3 hours, which is okay, you know.
Oh
It's
my
not-
goodness.
For a sprinter.
No, stop.
For a sprinter guy,
For
that's
anyone
okay.
that doesn't know, a sub 3 hour marathon, you're like averaging a 6
Yeah, it's high 6. Yeah. It's
640,
650-ish,
650.
650 range there.
What?
for 26.2 miles in a row.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is,
So,
again,
it's all right. No, that's
It's
amazing. That's a goal that a lot of people can't even achieve.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was one of the
That's
goals, right? To
insane.
run
Yeah.
Boston
What?
and to run sub 3.
yeah, you ran the Boston Marathon.
I did, yeah. And so, you know, that was a goal. And it kind of goes back to my earlier point. So when I hit that goal, those 2 goals in the marathon,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, well, I'm still going to run, but competition-wise, I'm done
Yeah.
with that because I hit what I wanted to hit. I'm going to move on to something else. I could have gone for ultra and stuff, but again, I was a sprinter guy. I want to go fast.
Yeah.
So I certainly can appreciate going and running 100 miles at 11, 12-minute pace and walking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, incredible.
insane.
Just not for me.
Mhm.
And then of all the athletics I can do, I'll say it and to the world here, I can't swim.
Yeah.
So everybody would ask me, you know, are you going to do triathlons? Do you do triathlon stuff? I said, no, I can't swim. You know, I said, well, you know, I can swim maybe enough to maybe save myself, but you know, it's certainly not anything I could be competitive at.
Yeah.
Now I could go and take lessons and all that kind of stuff, but that's one of those things again with the way I approach things. If I was going to do triathlon, I want to do the Ironman, and the Ironman is in Hawaii. You know, not to take anything away from someone who does, you know, the Madison Marathon or triathlon or anything like that. But, you know, if I was going to do it, I would want to be the best, right?
Yeah.
And do the ultimate, which would be to go to Hawaii, swim in the ocean, and, you know,
The Ironman.
bike down the, you know, on the flats and all that stuff. So anyway. Wow. So I never did that. I kind of lost track of what was I even talking about?
Talking about coaching.
Oh yeah, the coaching part of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I had a question. So like, I imagine I've never been a coach. Well, I coach like little kids, but it sounds like that's where you find your reward is being with them. Because like coaching, you're not out there. You're not playing that. You're not doing the sport.
Yeah.
So the reward is just
Yeah, there's a couple things there. I would say one is, like I talked about before, I love to see people succeed, you know, and when they're given some good direction and they can take that and they succeed, it's really great. You know, my first thing is from an athlete, you know, give me a person with an open mind and some athletic ability, and I can help them to become the best that they can be. Mm-hmm. Now, your best might not be as good as his best, but that's okay. But we can get you to your best, you know, what that might be.
Yeah.
we can get you there, man.
I could
But, you know,
get there.
The other thing about coaching, you know, and besides those types of coaching things, you know, even now, for example, I don't. Since moving to Minneapolis, I got out of table tennis for a bunch of reasons for a little while. Since coming back here, I go to the club and play a little bit. Will I go back to playing tournaments and stuff? I don't know. But, you know, I go over to the club, and 2 weeks ago we had a young guy about your age show up. Never, you know, he played in the basement, right? Thought he was hot stuff, and he's athletic and strong and all that. And he came out and he played one of the other guys who, you know, is a real beginner, and he actually beat him. Like a guy who's had no coaching and stuff. He's just come to the club. And then he was right next to me. So then games kind of ended, and, you know, we flip-flop around, challenge tables and stuff. So I kind of had one eye on him, and I knew he was brand new. So I said, hey, come on, let's play a little bit. So we played, you know, a game, and again, we call it basement players. So, you know, all I did is just basically keep the ball on for him and let him make the mistakes, and then I drilled a couple at the end, right? So when we're done, I said, okay, so do you want some pointers? Because I knew he was brand new.
Yeah.
And he's like, absolutely I do. You know, so I always ask. And so, you know, we're there at the club for 3-4 hours at a night. So I ended up literally spending about 3 hours with this guy who I just met, working on some of the most basic techniques so that he could get a little bit better. He's been to the club now 3 straight weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And now this last week again, the week before I got into some matches, so I couldn't spend much time with him. And then this last week again, I played a couple matches with some guys, and then we hooked back up again, and we spent, you know, an hour and a half
Wow.
just drilling and working on some of the things we were working on. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just, again, one of those things that I look at it, not only do I love to do that, but then my philosophy in that realm, no different than pickleball, right? Same thing. I try to help you guys, because if I'm at the club and I do want to get better as a table tennis player, and you come to the club, I need you to be better.
Yeah.
It does nothing for me to just beat up on you.
Yeah.
Now, especially if I see you got some athleticism, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, let me show you some things here. Now, all of a sudden, just like pickleball, right? I mean, when you start out, you're terrible. And then, but you can move around.
I wasn't.
Well, it wasn't terrible. It was terrible. Just,
I was.
It was bad.
He brought a pickle jar the first day.
But, right, with some techniques, all of a sudden now, the young legs start to kick in. And all of a sudden now I've got to start paying a little more attention to what I'm doing, So I love doing that as well, because it just elevates everybody. My philosophy, whether I'm coaching the team or I'm out at doing the pickleball with the church group or whatever, if you get a little bit better, we all get a little bit better. And that just keeps working up the scale. So it makes it more fun for everybody.
And one philosophy that I wanted you to talk on, because I think it was really, really good, because you're talking about bringing people up, coaching, and you were talking about training, because you've trained people too. You've also trained people in bodybuilding. That's like a side thing. But I also trained people for athletics. And you have 3 or 4 rules or guidelines that you keep with every athlete. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you referring to if you're going to start a program, make sure it's safe?
Yes, like that stuff. Yeah. Do you remember that? You want to talk on that?
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to know and have these in mind and set them as markers when they're creating a program or getting into anything training. That's why I think it's important for you to talk about.
And I like talking about this, and you can use it for anything, whether you're trying to be competitive athletically or you're trying to just get back up on your feet after 20 years of not doing anything. You're trying to lose weight, whatever that is that you're doing. The first and foremost rule is ask yourself, is it safe?
Mm-hmm.
So what do I mean by that? Well, you could starve yourself. You could fast for a couple of days, right? But you can't do it for a month. It's going to be a problem. You could try some wild diet pill or something like that. But chances are, if you keep taking that for too long, there might be some side effects. So you could extrapolate that to a lot of different things. But is it safe over the long term? That's the way I look at it. Because again, that gears you more towards a lifestyle change, not something faddish or something radical for a short term. It's just, okay, I'm going to eat better. I'm just going to get this particular bad food out of my diet forever. Or maybe I'm going to allow myself to eat that once a month or something like that. So it gives you more of a steady path, I think, if you consider the safety factor of it. And then the second one is, which goes along with that, I kind of mentioned, but is it sustainable? Whatever that is that you want to do. And now, if you take it to a competitive thing. So I see volleyball players.
And that's your sport, you would say.
Yeah.
That's like your love. Play on the beach all the time, all the summers. You travel down to Florida, play competitively. I feel like we're doing disservice because we're not diving too much deep into this thing, because you have a long story and we don't have hours to talk about it. But there is a reason why we brought you on this, because you have such like a historic history, a lot of history with sports and growing up. Like from when you were a child inside your house, you'd say how you play basketball and baseball and golf inside the house. Yeah. And we'll get back to what you were about to get on with volleyball, but I wanted to quick throw this in there. And you moved all the way, went through high school, did all these great things, moved on through college, and then outside of college, you kept on being involved in sports. And getting back to the volleyball, that's like your thing. That's your sport. That's your coach. In fact, for the people that don't know, he doesn't play He doesn't like to play volleyball with us. He doesn't play volleyball with us.
It's so annoying.
My wife is sitting over there and calls me a volleyball snob, and I will admit it.
What's the reason why you don't play volleyball with us?
And don't give an analogy. Give
Just
a reason.
Be honest, but not too honest.
The reason, too honest. There's a difference. Like if pickleball, right? When we started, we can mess around. First of all, I'm learning pickleball myself.
You're
That's
terrible
right.
as well.
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was terrible. When
You're
I first got up there, I was
worse
like,
than
I don't know what
worst.
I'm doing. I got to figure this out.
Probably the
you know?
worst ever.
So,
Yeah.
Dude, worse than me. I was like, I need to teach.
Because
this
you
guy
were
pickleball.
arable.
I was never
He was
worse than
terrible.
you, that's for sure.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you were arable. He was terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to
Just-
what you were saying.
Just me to start. So that's
What was that,
that's a
height?
little different, right? Because that's something that I've started, similar time and we're kind of progressing.
But
Even though
volleyball.
I might be a little higher, but volleyball is something I played since I was 15 years old and gotten to play it at pretty good levels, both indoor and outdoor. All the different surfaces and everything. So that's one of those things.
So
that
why don't you play with us?
it's I would play with you. What do I always say? I would play with you if you want some instruction and guidance, right? Because if you're open for that, where I could get you to be able to at least just control the ball to play, then, right, we all get better. Then we can play together, then we can do something. If I'm going to stand on the end of the court and watch you shaking the ball over to the side or just grabbing it and punting it back over to the net, I'm not going to stretch out for that.
That is.
I have no interest in stretching out for that and potentially hurting myself. And all the volleyball players know, guys come flying under the net and stuff.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the first thing
horrible.
we all say. It's like even players who can play but they're not in control. Its first thing would be like, all right, Caeden, just don't even block. We're not even blocking him. We're just going to peel because this guy's under the net like every other play. And it's not worth the injury, and we can beat him without having to do that.
It's a very nice way to say we're not good.
No,
Yeah.
no, but
I think I was clear that you
no,
I hope I was clear that you were good.
No, we'll be at like a party and you'll be just like sitting there.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm professional.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm.
Well, you're delusional
smoking.
at times, but that's
Well,
all right.
okay. Braedon and I are professional.
Yeah.
What
Wait,
do you
wait,
say?
wait.
So hold on.
Why
I'm
Wait,
bringing
wait,
you back in here. Dude, he called me delusional. I gotta
So you remember
review
the analogy I gave you? This is a story for our people here. The first time we were at maybe not the first time, you guys were playing and you asked me how you did after. And I said, well, let me put it to you this way. I don't know if you guys have told your audience that you're soccer players or not. These guys are
we're
soccer
soccer
players, okay? So I'm not a soccer player. That wasn't around when I was in high school, where we didn't have soccer as a program. So I never got to really play it. So I don't know soccer.
He's
right?
old. He's
But
older than soccer.
I do know.
I'm joking.
He
I'm
actually doesn't
joking.
even know what a soccer ball looks like.
I do know that you're supposed to kick it with your feet, and you're not allowed to pick it up with your hands and run with it, other than the goalie and stuff. So I put it to you this way: what if I came out to play soccer with you guys, and I just picked up the ball, ran to the goal, dropped it in front of the goal, drop kicked it, and scored, and I did that 10 times, and then I came to you after and said, hey, I'm pretty good at soccer, eh? I scored 10 goals. Am I pretty good? What would you say to me? Well, sure. Either you just say sure and walk away, or you'd say, well, yeah, you don't really know how to play, and you're not following the rules, and so I don't know.
hold
So
on.
what would you really
hold
say
on.
to me?
Hold
No,
on.
this
Hold
is-
on.
oh, yeah, go
For
ahead.
all the people that are watching, we know how to play volleyball, and we're pretty good.
I was the best in my gym class.
No.
We actually beat
I
you
was
guys once.
the best in the gym
remember
class.
that?
Oh, I
Remember
do.
when we beat them?
No.
So let's not bring that up because he has like reasons.
Oh,
why
never mind.
we
Okay, yeah,
lost.
whatever. You're right. Back to
But it was with his volleyball
Yes,
buddies, and he
yes.
said,
Yeah, no.
back.
destroyed.
Yeah,
But
no.
back to the point you're talking about with volleyball: safe, sustainable.
Okay.
Wait.
Well-
I'm so sorry.
Are we going?
Are you not gonna bring up the soccer thing? I would say if he did all that, I'd be like, hey, let's just play. Let's play, and I'll teach you.
No, this is what I would say. I would say the goalie can't go that far
Oh, that's
because
smart.
the goalie can use their hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would make a joke like
Yeah.
that. That's whatever.
Yeah.
but we would play with you, and we would go.
He
Larry,
did. Yeah, he did offer to train us.
Yeah,
But that's-
I'm all for that.
That's training, bro.
Yeah.
I want to play.
I think
I know I'm gonna like.
No, do you know what I imagine him training us in volleyball is like wax on.
Yeah.
Wax on. It's gonna be like lift up the coat, set the coat down, lift up the coat. So I feel like that's how I imagine
I
it.
see what you were saying.
Give each other a high five. Wrong. Give each other a high five. Keep it going. That's how I imagine it.
And we'd
See,
be like,
that is
Larry.
exactly not what I would say. So now you know. How,
We'd be like, Larry, this doesn't make any sense.
But back to what you're saying. You
Okay.
said safe, sustainable.
So if something, yeah, well, what I started to say is besides just, whether it was something like losing weight
Yeah.
for those things, but put it now in an athletic
Volleyball, yeah.
type of thing. So I like a volleyball. I see a lot of folks that swing incorrectly. And in volleyball, rotator cuff problems, shoulder problems are common because people don't swing correctly. They don't, and I'm talking high level people even.
Yeah.
Don't really understand the mechanics and what you're actually supposed to hit with, and there's a lot of hitting with the shoulder. So one of the things I would refer to if I was training somebody would be, this technique is causing you problems, right? It's not safe. And now you might be able to get away with it if you're really a strong person or your body just anatomically can sustain this for some period of time, but it's going to get you eventually. And the proof is in the pudding. I don't have a number exactly off the top of my head, but a very high percentage of volleyball players, both men and women, have shoulder problems because a very high percentage of them don't swing properly. Mm-hmm. And over time, in some cases even short time, they have shoulder injuries. I've been playing, for 24 years, since I'm only 24,
kind of dropped
for over 24 years.
Yeah,
After 20,
it's
over
been,
24
it's
years.
been, well, it's been 40 years plus, over 40 years of playing volleyball. I don't have a shoulder problem. I never had a shoulder problem of any kind whatsoever.
You did have a shoulder problem.
From volleyball.
With the
Yes, I
bike.
went out on a bike. That was a different story.
He did a front flip.
yeah.
Jake didn't land.
He
right.
did not
on
land
my
the front
head.
flip.
I did not get the dismount correct.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so funny.
So
But it's
anyway,
been-
it can be related to athletic movements as
Yep.
well, not just dieting or things like that. So safe, sustainable, and then whatever you're doing, this kind of back to like a fitness type thing is, does it make you feel good?
Yeah.
And that's going back to eating better and exercise and things. Some people have never known their entire life what it is like to feel good. That sounds kind of funny, like to you guys, because you played high school or college stuff and all that. But there are people that didn't do that, and they've never really known what it's like to feel good.
Yeah.
And so, again, whatever the diet is or whatever the workout is, will you feel better? So is it safe? Is it sustainable? Will it make you feel better? Will it make you perform better? Mm-hmm. Whatever that might be. Hardcore athletics, or again, going back to just being able to play with your kids or pick up your grandkids or do something like that. Does this program, whether it's weight training or exercise or dieting or whatever it is, I should say nutrition, not dieting, but will it help you to perform better at what you want to perform at? Yeah. And then the last one I always say, and this is not so much for the athletic part of it, but it kind of is does it make you look the way you want to look? Yeah. We all want to look decent, whatever that is. And that could be big and bulky, it could be thin, it could be, curvy, whatever. Yeah. Doesn't matter, but does it make you look the way you want to look? Yeah. And you could tie that into an athletic part of thing because, one of the things when I coached the boys' high school, let's face it, as men, and all the men know this, there's few things more important to you when you're a high school boy than looking confident and looking good in front of the young ladies, right? You don't want to look foolish. You want to be, strong and a man. You want to, do well on the court and all that stuff, right? We've all experienced that. So by doing, those other steps, that could potentially lead you into that realm of looking the way you want to look and presenting yourself, maybe is a better term in that regard. So it can go both ways. So the thing is, you take those questions. If you answer yes to all of them, then give it a shot, whatever that program is or whatever you want to do. If you answered no to any of those, reevaluate. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is not going to make me look the way I want to look. Okay, what do I have to do a little bit differently? Yeah. Or I'm not going to perform the way I'm going to perform. Or, I know I can, lift this certain weight by cheating using my back right now, but am I going to be able to continue to move forward and do that for a long time without potentially hurting myself, So answer yes to them, give it a shot, see how it works. You answer no to any of them, reevaluate, and get yeses to all those questions.
Those are absolutely great staples. Especially, I love how you lead with being safe because you have one body. You want to make sure you treat it well.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hard to do much of any of the others if you're laid up,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
even, you know, mildly, let alone seriously.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Well, so you've done all this athletic stuff, did all the things. You're still doing it. What is the thing that you're competing right now for? Besides looking better than Braedon and I, which
You gotta change your program because your number 5 isn't. Whatever.
That's because I'm sitting on my bad side.
yeah, dude.
I
There's
know.
no. I
Have a
don't
good
believe that there's good side
and a
or
bad side. See.
I don't see it. I
Well,
think you're a good-looking man.
Where were you going with that?
Oh, so what is something that you're competing for right now?
Well, there's a couple things I have going on. Obviously, well, not obviously, the folks may be listening, but you know, my YouTube channel, I'm trying to do a bunch of different athletic endeavors at once. So one of the things I really do want to get back into is track and field as a senior. You know, I talked earlier about, you know, I was fast when I was young, and then as I got slower, I did the longer distances. And now that I'm at the senior age, I want to get back on the track and try to see if I can get some speed going again, relative speed. And then, you know, through this channel that I've been working on, I've got to meet some world record holders, senior world record holders. So they're inspiring to someone like me who's lived a fitness lifestyle my whole life, you know. So I'm hoping that they're inspiring to others as well. And then, you know, the pickleball thing, having kind of some fun with that, you know. I know the Pro Tour is coming to Minnesota and Milwaukee next year. So, you know, I've talked to a few people about, you know, giving it a little bit of a shot just for fun. And
That would be cool.
I know, we'll see.
You open the door. This was the next thing I wanted to talk about, if that's okay. You're not done yet.
I'm not.
And what's your favorite season or time of year? Autumn?
Autumn is a good time.
You want to tell us?
That's a good segue.
Right?
What?
Autumn is a good
Do you
time.
want to tell us about your business or what you're pursuing right now?
Autumn Athletes, not done yet, which normally I would have my own merch on. But
Yeah, and I was actually thinking we all should have worn it
yeah.
today. That's Sunday.
Doing something earlier.
I have it under my this stuff.
I wear your underwear.
Yeah, that's.
He has
Not your
underwear?
No, not yours. The branded.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I made it
Either way,
myself.
that came out bad, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Can
you edit this video
Larry's
at all?
underwear?
Well, I hadn't made it myself. He said he wasn't going to make me one.
Okay.
So, I can send you.
What
I
does
can
it
send
look
you,
like? Does it just say?
I'm not going to get
Okay.
into it.
I was just.
I'll tell you after.
That's private stuff.
So, do you want to? Anyway,
What were we talking about?
you're talking about Autumn Athletes.
Yeah.
So, when did you start it? What is this?
So we started Autumn Athletes.
I don't know anything.
In February of this year. So it's a YouTube channel. Autumn Athletes, not done yet. So the concept is, as an autumn athlete, you know, think of a spring athlete being someone in their, you know, their teens, maybe early 20s that are learning, developing, blossoming, just like spring flowers. And then, you know, a summer athletes, the 20-year-olds to 30-year-olds they're at the top of their game. You know, everything is clicking, both physically, mentally. That's your prime, right? And then, you know, after that, leaves start turning a little bit. You know, bones start aching a little here and there. Things get a little slower moving. You get into your autumn years, is what I call it. You know, now it's not winter. We aren't, you know, the leaves aren't dead yet. We're not dead. We're still in autumn. So we still have, you know, and autumn is beautiful, right? At times, you know, a lot of people think that's the nicest time of the year. So I can tell you it's awesome if you're feeling good and fit and you can do things. I can tell you that this time of life is really great. It might not be if you're not in that position, you know, but certainly all the folks I get to interview so far are people that either made a transition, like I said earlier, from a sedentary lifestyle to a fitness lifestyle, or in some cases, some of them are more like me, where they have been involved in athletics their whole lives, and the senior stuff came around and you know, like, wow, I got the fire back again. So I'm not just going out and exercising and staying fit and feeling good, but I'm competing. And there's things to win here, you know. So that's what I do. I interview folks. We call them spotlight athletes. And then along with that, I'm doing some of my own challenges and things like that, just internet fitness challenges and push-ups, pull-ups, whatever, you know, different stupid stuff. One arm hangs.
He's working on that now. It's really cool though, because the Autumn Athletes, obviously you've been inspired about like your own life, and you've created a community. and like you can talk about it for sure, but you have interviewed people across the world.
Mm-hmm.
You've interviewed people outside of the state that we're in, and you've talked to some people that like their lives have been crazy, and think of the accomplishments they have faced, and you're interviewing them, and you've created this whole community. Is there anyone that, like, you don't have to mention names, but like any of like interviews that you're like, wow, like I can't believe, like you're telling me that you're in conversation with someone from Australia, and you're like, you didn't even realize at first? He didn't realize at first, so he was like emailing them, and they said, I'll get back to you later that day, like in the afternoon, and it was like at 10 o'clock
weird
at
hour,
night.
and I thought, well, that's kind of strange. That they're sending me a note at this hour, and then that's when I realized they're in Australia. So it's, whatever, 10
and
in
you
the morning
started
on a Tuesday, and it's Monday night at some weird time.
Yeah,
here,
and you started this in February this year, and you're right now creating a community that's growing, and it's already across the entire world on the down under.
Yep. From Britain to Canada to Costa Rica, and actually next week I'm interviewing someone from Costa Rica. So, kind of back to the Autumn Athletes, what it is. It's the tagline, if you will, is anybody past their physical prime due to age or life-changing events that continue to keep moving, set goals, and train hard to achieve them. So that really covers anybody. I have a young lady that is, we're working on all the pre-interview material, who lost her leg, but she's still competing in bodybuilding. I mean, she is shredded from head to toe. So it isn't just a matter of age, that type of thing. It's anything. What? Is that funny? Shredded from head to toe?
Like one toe, yeah.
One toe,
yeah.
Got it. I was thinking of that actually as I said that, but this could be a long edit.
We don't cut anything out here.
To cut that. So yeah, it is.
We need to focus. Stop laughing.
It is.
Is she winning?
Well, she hasn't competed yet. This is actually it's fairly recent. In fact, the reason that part of why we're working on it is because she's involved in some classes right now to work on how she's using her prosthetic and stuff like that. So
I'm so sorry.
Anyway,
I'm not. Is she like competing with like
other bodybuilders?
Yeah, other bodybuilders.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so it's not like okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
well, you'll
insane.
see what she looks like when I do the interview. You'll be quite amazed.
So you've interviewed a lot of different kinds of people.
So the idea is to try to get it all different disciplines.
Like you just did BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
76-year-old black belt. He just earned his black belt at 76-year-old.
Yeah. You did powerlifting, swimming.
Sprinting, a lot of different track and field athletes, baseball, senior baseball players.
Yeah.
I'm trying to really just cover, to not only just highlight the folks that are doing things, but to, maybe inspire people that say, hey, I played baseball. Like, I didn't know. My good friend I played volleyball with forever. I interviewed him for baseball, senior baseball. I played volleyball with him for 40 years, I knew he played a little baseball, but I didn't in high school or college, but didn't think anything of it. And then his son was involved in baseball, and still didn't think anything of it. And all of a sudden, he quit volleyball and started playing baseball again. Now his team's won like some senior World Series, and I didn't even know there was a senior World Series. Until I started doing this.
The thing I love about what you're doing with Autumn Athletes, everyone like kind of shuts it off after, if you're not in college, and they after college they shut it off, or if you're not professional they shut it off. But you're exposing a whole life of a whole sorts of people that are like, oh, we still compete at a high level. Like you're talking about senior baseball. You're talking about like there's a senior Olympics that you've talked to people that have run crazy times faster than like even younger people. And like I think you're doing a big spotlight where you do spotlight interviews on a whole like generation of people, or a type of people that like never get seen or talked about. And I think that's so cool. And that's why I'm like so like taken back about, you're literally building a community that has now reach across the world, because like even though is there 8 billion people in the world?
Yeah, somewhere.
It's like you only need to reach 1%, and like you have reached insane amount of people. And it's like very cool because I feel like a lot of people turn their eye or don't even think about that as they get older. And also what you do, you inspire people that are getting older in age that they're like, wait, I don't have to be this weight. I don't have to look this way. I don't have to be injured. I don't have to like, you can still come back and have something successful. I don't know if you were telling me once how I think they lived their whole life like out of shape and not into fitness, and they recently started getting into it, and like now they're like doing some crazy stuff.
I mean, you look at a recent interview I did, and I'll say his name, Paul Forbes. He's from England.
Yeah.
And he was a beast, half miler when he was young. He ran some incredible times, 144s, if anybody knows track and field. That's a fast half mile. And then he got, done with it, and then it's been, how did he say that, 20 years or something on the couch or something like that. But the irony of it, in the meantime, his wife had been running marathons and so forth through that time. And so finally, when he was approaching 60, he was like, okay, she's being active and I'm just being a slob, basically. I'm overweight, not feeling good, I can't do anything. So he started running again. And now, at age 65, he is now a 5-time world record holder. He just recently broke the 800-meter outdoor world record for M65, which would be men's 65 masters, at a 2:13, which again, if you know track and field, that's a fast time. And now, it's not fast compared to his 144s when he was young, but still, if you look at the vast majority of even young track and field athletes, they would struggle to run a 2:13 half. So it's just amazing.
Yeah.
In 5 years, starting at 60.
And it goes to your thing, not done yet.
Yeah. And I mean, another example, a gentleman who was a movie star. He was in his 50s, somewhere in his 50s, late 50s, he heard about this Masters stuff, and he had done some running when he was younger, started training, and now this last summer he broke the men's 70-year-old 100-meter world record it's like a 12:5, which again is, it's not the world class you think of as running a 10 or a sub 10, but still, there's not a whole lot of people that could run a 12:5 at any age, let alone at 70. So it's amazing. It really has been, and it's been great for me because, living the lifestyle I've lived, when you're in your kind of own community, I get asked a lot of questions. So, you're older, you're in good shape for your age and all that kind of stuff. And
which I don't think anyone could guess your age. If they met you in person.
You feel a little like an outlier. Like people are always asking me stuff like, oh, you are different than everybody else, like kind of, and I'm like, well, whatever. And so now in the process of doing this YouTube channel, I've got to start meeting people out. It's like, man, I am nothing.
Yeah.
There are people out there doing things way better than I'm doing at my age, and I thought I was kind of like a big fish in a little pond, and all of a sudden I'm realizing there's some work to get done.
Yeah.
So even someone like me, the folks that I'm doing are motivating again now. In some cases, maybe some of them are so good it might be a little too far for people to reach.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I ask them all the time is I ask them questions like, what keeps you motivated nowadays? What do you do for training, and what's your secret sauce to just, being a 60 or 70 or 80-year-old and still exercising and setting these goals and things. And so they all have different answers on how they do it. So, I think, even though it can be a little bit like, oh my goodness, I'm struggling here. I'm 60, maybe I'm overweight. I haven't done anything. I'm not going to run a world record. Well, I'm not either.
Yeah.
So what? But there could be things we could learn from this person on the lifestyle changes they made, what they're doing. Now they're freaks, right? They're exceptional. But we could all get better and use some of their advice to get better. So I try to ask those questions that could not only inspire an athletic person, with the types of training they do, because maybe I do aspire to break your world record, or I just need to get off the couch. What can I do? And a lot of these folks have some really good advice just for the average person just to get up and get going and do something.
Yeah, it's not, again, I feel like I'm doing a gimmick thing, but you're not done yet. Like at that age, people think that that's it for me. Like, I'm this old, I like look like this is it. Like, that's the rest of my life. But you still have that control.
And one of the things that, besides, doing this for older people, my hope is that I can get a young audience as well.
Yeah.
Because that's when it starts, right? You're high school, right? You play on your teams. Maybe you're good, and you go to college. You play in your teams. You got all this intense stuff, and then, like you said, after I graduate college, and all of a sudden, now what? And then I get a job, and all of a sudden, I don't have all this time, or maybe I get married or something, or have some kids. So that mid to late 20s is where a lot of people lose it, and then it's hard to recover it after that. So my hope through this channel is to get young people involved in this too. Hey, I'm not going to be the one that waits until I'm 60 and just feeling terrible to decide to do something.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay more like me or some of the other ones that I'm just going to keep working all the way through and feel good the whole way. So I'm hoping that young people can get something out of it. And of course, like for me, some of the challenges I do are young people challenges, right? I purposely go find those where some young person said, hey, I did this in this much time. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see if the old guy can do that. And, it's fun to be able to do that. Like some of the challenges, I've just tried them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I practiced once, and then it's like, okay, let's give it a shot and see how I can do it. And some of them vary quite a bit. So it's nice to just be a well-rounded person that can go and just have some fun and do that.
And it's not that, even though we're talking about it's autumn athletes and stuff, your content and what you're explaining, it's not designed, or your demographic isn't all for like the people that are up in age. It's for everyone. Because I think I said it a little bit earlier, not only is it for those people at that level, they're like, I'm done, but it's also for the people that are out of college and they're like, well, there's nothing else going. And it's more of an inspiring thing of like, if they're doing it at that age, I'm just out of college or mid-30s, early 40s. I'm like, I can keep on doing stuff. So it's not just a specific demographic. It's definitely a movement. And again, I've said this many times, but the community you're creating, and like people are like, wait, I have other people who are the same. Just how you're saying, like, big fish in a small pond. Now you're like, wait, hold on. There's other people out there that's like, it's like, I almost picture you as like Batman, like your thing going up. And other people are like, oh. I think it's awesome.
Yes, I'm Batman.
You need...
That's my best.
That's
a
good.
lot of the shadows.
Yeah.
Lift the way.
Yeah.
So why did you make the YouTube channel? Like you said, what it's about, all this stuff. But
Well,
why?
the reason I started it, honestly, was going back. I've had people ask me what I do my whole life, really. But certainly as I've gotten older, what's your fitness plan? What's your diet? What's your training plan? How do you jump? How do you run? How do you do whatever? And so that's kind of where the idea came from. I retired from work, and I thought, it'd be kind of fun to do something, in the athletic realm, and in this day and age with the, computers and video and all this stuff. I thought, well, maybe I'll just do some advice, kind of more of an advice thing. Here's what I do, and maybe do something where I took questions from people. And that's kind of was my initial thought, kind of a public service announcement or address sort of thing. And then as I talked more about it with people and kind of the idea and concept, and then some of these other thoughts started coming, and then eventually it got to like, well, maybe I'll see if I can find some other people too, because, to be honest, I'm not the on-camera guy, right? You guys are the talent, like at church and stuff. You're up there playing instruments and singing and things like that. And I'm back behind the sound. But that's always been me. I've kind of like I'll be the tech guy behind the scenes. I don't really want to be up on the platform in the spotlight. So it was one of those things that was different for me. Like I don't want this to just be about the things about me. Hey, look at me. Here's what I can do. So I wanted to be something that, well, if I am going to do any of that stuff, I want it to be something inspiring that. Again, it's not just to like look about what I can do, but hey, that guy can do it. Maybe I can do it as well. But once it kind of evolved into the idea of the spotlights, now it's really that's my main thing that I want to do is I want to highlight what these people are doing. And now that I know they're out there, I want to bring them to light, and make it about them. I mean, even when we do our interviews, and obviously because most of the people are not here in the Milwaukee area, I have to, do Zoom, right? I mean, when I edit them, I think in a 25 or 30 minute interview, I'm on screen for about 2 minutes. I try to just boom the question and then it's off of me and it's all about them, and really highlighting what they're doing, because a lot of these people, especially, people my age and up, we didn't have any of this. It was a different world. So even when I talk to them and I say, hey, do you have some pictures from when you're in high school and some of these athletics? I know myself, I have a couple of pictures I could probably rustle up from when I was in high school, even though all the sports I played and everything. And again, can I finally say my age? Well,
yeah, go for it.
I'm 57. So I did say 66 earlier, right? I said when I was born. But that's even for me. But I'm interviewing people that are, in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. So certainly before, there wasn't any of that stuff, So I lost track of what was I even saying there?
No,
that was it. You were talking about
beautiful.
The why.
Yeah.
The why of why you're starting the channel.
Yeah. So that's it. It really just evolved from kind of a public service announcement to highlighting people and really creating the movement. I call it a movement. You call it a community. Kind of creating a movement of folks in their upper years, especially because there's the baby boomers are all in that category right now. Mm-hmm. I'm officially the last 1 year off of the baby boomers. So my hope was to do something with all those folks to get them moving, and then inspire young people to not let yourself get into a situation that you don't like and stay fit your whole life.
Exactly. Wow.
It's beautiful. Well, I'm glad that you, for not a guy that likes to be on camera, I'm glad you...
Well, there's a difference between being on camera and then talking about certain topics, right? So there's certain topics I can sit and talk about with you way longer than you want to listen.
No, we appreciate this time. Seriously. Hopefully we did a little bit of justice to shed some light on who you are and how you grew up and your passions and everything like that.
And television.
And television.
We know about television.
That was an interesting start to the pod. I mean, do you want to end on something revolving TV or antennas?
What was your favorite show to watch? Like what needed to be on the
four
TV?
Channels?
Well, as a youngster, my brother and I, grew up on the AWA, the American Wrestling Association.
Oh.
So Vern Gagne, the Crusher, Ivan Putski, Mad Dog Vachon,
The Rock,
the Jumpin' Jim Brunzell.
John Cena.
No, those guys were 25, 30 years later. So Jesse the Body Ventura, from the governor of Minnesota. So.
Oh yes.
Yes, Jesse the Body. You remember Predator, the movie Predator?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He's the one. He's in there. He's
Jesse
the Body
I
Ventura.
got you then.
So yeah.
Cool.
So that was as youngsters, we cartoons and all that's kind of stuff, But
nice.
that was kind of like the, under 10, 12-year-old kind of TV that we would watch. And then Saturday nights we would watch as a family. This was a big thing. On Saturday nights, it was called Shock Theater. So the folks who watched it back then will remember they had I don't remember if it was a Bible or some sort of book, and they had a tarantula walking over this book, and then they had the crash of the thunder and lightning and a light on it. It was probably somebody with a flashlight.
Yeah.
This. And then they'd play, scary movies, Dracula and Frankenstein and those kind of movies like that. So Saturday night was family gets together, turn the lights down, and watch Shock Theater.
I'm horrible with scary movies.
That would be horrible.
Yeah.
But
that's fun stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you want to shout anything out to any people watching? I know we talked heavily about Autumn Athletes, but anywhere specific you want to send them if they're interested?
Well, I mean, if you want to go get inspired by Autumn Athletes that are not done yet, you can go to AutumnAthletesNDY.com, or you can find us on YouTube at Autumn Athletes NDY, Facebook, Autumn Athletes NDY, Instagram, Autumn Athletes NDY, and that's what we're on right now. So any one of those will work to get you to some inspirational video.
Yeah.
And email him if you have any inquiries.
Yeah, you can email me too at Larry at AutumnAthletesNDY. How about that? Shocker.
At first, I was like, maybe there's something different here.
No.
You threw in the layer,
I try to
though.
keep it simple and the same.
Branding.
Just go and type Adam Athletes NDY, And then, you talk about branding. That's kind of the ultimate goal is to kind of get to NDY. So, based on your advice, I've worked on my thumbnails and stuff, and I've now come up to, NDY is kind of the big heading. So anybody that sees a video with NDY and then some comment underneath, hopefully we'll know that it's Autumn Athletes not done yet.
It's kind of like the
place I want to go with it.
Just do it, and then when you see that, you're like, oh, that's Nike.
Yeah, or now just it went to the swoosh, right? It didn't even start out with Nike and all that stuff. So hopefully that will build over time where people just can recognize that, and as the channel grows and stuff, we'll hopefully get out to travel and go to some of these places and interview people live around the world, or bring them here, maybe, that kind of thing. So we're not quite to there yet, but maybe one day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
great. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate you having me here.
It was awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Check out Autumn Athletes NDY at any of those locations that he said. Basically, anywhere in the internet, he's there for you.
At NDY.
Across the world.
So, thank you guys.
See you.